Hello, this is Christian. This is part 5 or episode 5 of this video series. This is the last video here. This is just a bonus video. I want to show you how you can hash your passwords. Okay, so notice again here in our form, when we register, we did not hash our passwords. And when we signed in, registered, then our data, as you can see, you can actually see the passwords. Okay, so you want to do is you want to hash these. Again, just make sure that when you create your table, you had to make sure it has at least enough characters. I put here initially up to 255 characters long. Okay, may not need that many, but at least 128 or more. Okay, so before I go and do that, I want to go to the php.net site, and over here just search for hash, and there are a couple of algorithms you can use. So here, if I hash algos, you see that it has a lot of functions or different algorithms you can use. Okay, and these are quite popular in the old days, but these are not secure anymore. So we don't really kind of use this anymore. The SHA, this is okay too, still being used quite a lot. And the numbers on the right side here tells you how many bits there are. Not bits, I think, yeah, I forgot, I think it's bit or something. And then, so you see there's a lot of them here, okay? And the one that we'll be using for this example is the password hash. So if I go back to the list, does it say here or not? Well, if you go to hash, and I'll show you how to use this. So again, you put the function hash, followed with the type, and then the string you want to hash, the password, right? And then it's going to give you a string of hash passwords. So as some examples in here, you can just use something like this. You're going to hash this string using this algorithm, okay? And so, for example, let's go back to the PHP storm and say that I'm going to put in here, I put in the root directory a file, just call here a demo, okay? And so let's say I have a password is ABC, okay? To hash this, I'll use just a hash, a variable. I'm going to hash it using an algorithm called maybe like SHA-1, and then the password is pass. Okay, and then I'm going to dump to the console so you can see. Okay, and I want to save this. I'm going to go to a terminal and just run this file so you can see what it looks like. So php demo.php, and so this is the hash string, right? It's a 40 character string, it tells you here. So if I do again, if I do another hash down here, and this time I use like 512, okay, and I put hash 2 here so you can see. And let's go back and run one more time. You see that the character is much more, has 128 characters long, right? But the only thing is that using this method, you can see if I go and let's go back to the 14 one, the short one, and I put hash 2 here. I use the same one, so I do it twice. Okay, I did it twice, and so if I go back and run it again, you see I get the exact same string. Okay, and this is not good, right? It's not secure. Why? Well, because if I do this, say password 2, if I put password 1, password 2 is ABC as well, right? The same. Well, this is for user 1, for user 2. And if I have the same password, then I'm going to get the same hash. And you don't want to do that because I see the exactly same keys, strings. So if I have access to your database, I say, aha, I have all these users, they're using the same password. Of course, you have to, decipher this, but so this is not secure, right? What you want to use is you want to use the password function. So here I would say I will use something like this. Let me just comment this out. and I'll use the function called password hash. Okay, and I'll put here the password is going to be the password 1, and then the second parameter is what's called a salt, and the cause and others. So just use what's called the password default. Okay, this is very secure. And so now when I do that, I'm going to copy this again and put it down here. This is hash 2. I'm going to hash the same password as before and just output here again. Okay, so save this, and then now I can do my demo again. Okay, so what do you see? Right, I'm hashing the same password and I ran it twice, but you see that the characters are not the same. It's a completely different string and the same password. So this is very secure because you will never generate the same string again, right? You have about, I guess, I don't know how many combinations, like 2 to the 60 combinations maybe. Because you have 60 characters long and it's unique. So I'm using the same password, so therefore you'll never guess that these two users have the same password. And this is a one direction only. You cannot undone this. Okay, once you set it, you cannot convert it back to the actual password. If you lost it, that's it. So even though people have access to your database and they see your password, it's all like gibberish. They can never know the actual password, and it's much more secure. And how do you verify? How do you check it that it's matched? Well, there's a function called password verify. So here you can do something like var dump. I need to call a password verify. This will verify your password with the hash. Okay, so here is the password 1. Verify that with the hash. Okay, I'm checking my password 1, which is not hash, against the one that's hash, and then so it's gonna hash this password and then compare that with this password and make sure they match. If it's so, we'll get a value of true, otherwise we get false. Okay, so here we go, and you can see that it matches. Okay, I'm comparing this with the first hash. If I do with the second hash, I should also get the same result. So you can see that both are true, even though the strings are very different, right? So that's what we want to do here for your password. So let's go and implement this feature in our code. So in here, Unit 2, under the registration, when we register the page, we add the login register before we pass the password to the post here, right? So this is where we want to hash your password. So here, I'm going to say something like this, very short, post the password. I'm going to hash this using the password hash. Okay, and then the password is called password, and they're going to hash it using the default password default algorithm. Okay, so it's now hashed, and then so this is now hashed. I send that over, and then it will be registered in the same hash. So let's save that and let's verify that it works. So let's go back to the page here. I'm going to go and register new user, user 3, and u3 at u.com, j.com, 123, 123. Okay, I register successfully. I go to login, and let's check the database first and our users. Okay, you see that the user 3 is now hash. Okay, using the hash. Now, to get it back, I use user 3 and 123, right? It won't work because the password is now hash. If I go to user 2 and 1, those should work because that was not hashed. Okay, so now we have to unhash or using the hash again for the login. And so that's really easy. Go back in here and our login page. When we verify the password, we make sure the password is valid. Then we can also either hash here or unhash or verify inside the function itself. So let's see, what do we do? Let's go and do it inside the function. Maybe it's better in here. So we'll verify the password right here. We check against the password before you do a comparison here, right? We check to say they are equal or not. Well, we're not going to do this way. we'll use the hash method. So here I'll put down below. I'll do a here if the password verify, okay, verify the password, which is the row password. If that matches the hash, which is the hash password, we get that from the actually no, this is the one from the database. This is already hash, okay, and then our password is actually the ones coming from the parameter. So if that is true, then we'll return true. Okay, so we verify the password, verify this is the password you want to compare to. This is the hash password from the database. Okay, so let's save that. And now let's go back to the site and log in. Now our user 3 was hash using 1, 2, 3, right? So I'm able to log in, of course, no problem. And now because it's hash, my older password no longer works because it was not hashed. So therefore, it will never work again because of that. Because I don't allow, you know, retrieval password, things like that. So you have to register again to make that work. Okay, so I hope this is helpful and useful to hash your password just to make sure they are secure, so that even though you have access to your database, you cannot unhash or decipher your password. I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you have any questions